Well, we have a question from Brian Olfey from Post Falls, Idaho. He sent it via email. He says, considering the fact that the U.S. government is the nation's largest employer, how do you expect to cut $2 trillion from the budget without sending the jobless rate through the roof? And Representative West, why don't you take it?
I think it's important for us to, as we said, we got to get back to understanding what are the essential functions of the federal government. One of the questions I asked when I got up here, because I'm a newbie, I've been here since the 5th of January, never held any type of public office before. But it's, once again, it's a common sense approach. It's a very disciplined approach that the military teaches you. 13 appropriations bills come out of the House of Representatives. What's the priority? And no one could answer that. And that's why I wrote a letter over to the House Appropriations Chairman, Hal Rogers. Why don't we have a tiered program so that we say these are the priorities, and then we can understand from the bottom up. We can start to refine, we can start to cut, and get the federal government back into its essential functions. So I think that, you know, we can have this bureaucratic nanny state that grows up here in Washington, D.C. And if you continue to have that, you're going to continue to have the separation between the revenues that are coming in and the spending that is going out. And so what we've seen in the past 3 years, 1.42 trillion, 1.29 trillion, and now 1.65 trillion of deficits. So we have to make the hard decisions up here. And I think that's one of the reasons why persons like the governor and myself, we're not career politicians. And we're bringing in a perspective that is totally different and outside of the Beltway.
Coming back to the
we've
question,
got to make a change.
Coming back to the question, though, of jobs, we are facing a new reality. We are facing a reality.
Government does not create jobs.
Right.
The private sector creates jobs.
And we are looking at a private sector right now that's not doing it.
You're not
They're
setting
shipping
the
them
conditions
overseas
for the private sector to grow. You're not setting the conditions.
Well,
you just
let me
heard
tell you what the
corporate
conditions
business
are.
tax rate of 35%, the highest in the world. Who is going to be able to create a job here in the United States of America, bring production and manufacturing back to this country, if you're pushing them away?
Well, Ford Motor Company, for example,
Ford Motor Company did not
jobs.
take any bailout money, and they created jobs.
Exactly.
Great
They
thing.
are. They're creating 7,000 jobs here over the next 2 years. But they're also building a third of their cars and producing a third of their cars for the Asian market by 2020. That means the market is changing. The world is changing. People overseas are the primary customers of U.S. businesses.
Absolutely. And that's
If
why
they are building cars for foreign counterparts, why aren't they building them in foreign countries? That's exactly what they are doing. How do you work against fate?
Well, I don't think we're working against fate. I think the thing is, once I look at the Panama Canal, the Panama Canal is going to be expanding in 2014 to bring in larger cargo ships. We happen to have a little thing in my district called Port Everglades, brought in $98 billion of revenue last year. I've already had meetings with the senior representative from Hong Kong and also Consulate General from Taiwan, who want to have increased trade and increased revenue coming out of South Florida with small business owners. Those are the type of things that we're looking to do. How can we increase our production, our manufacturing, our export to some of these foreign markets? But right now, we don't have the right type of economic and fiscal policies. It comes back to the one word that we keep saying over and over again: certainty.